Empty that ballast. Empty that ballast. Oh, no. Hello, everybody, and welcome to F1 Failcast 2018. It is Mr. Bolkenberg, as ever, fully bulked out because he's had quite a bit of chocolate today and discovered coconut-flavoured Oreos, which aren't as nice as they sound. And alongside me, as ever, back again, Mr. Definitely Zero Esteban himself. How you doing?
Greetings, sir. Greetings. Coconut Oreos, I'll be honest with you, they don't sound that appealing anyway.
No. It's Halloween editions of stuff. And I was like, that will do. It's got green on the packaging. Clearly it's scary.
It is pretty terrifying. Well, I'm breaking out the special weaponry for this episode.
Is that to go through the barriers?
Yeah, for two reasons.
Right.
Today's stream beverage is an IPA from a local brewery.
Ooh.
As we know, and has been conclusively proven again and again, the rules surrounding drink driving do not apply to me, and whenever I drink alcohol on stream, I usually win. But also, because we've missed some streams over the course of time. We've been quite good for the last sort of year or so, but this stream marks a year's worth of streams since we went to the live format.
Oh, wow.
So happy anniversary, darling.
You're very welcome, Bobs.
Woo. Oh. So I've got a nice refreshing alcoholic beverage that, that's got a weird aftertaste. A bit like this podcast. So, last time out, it was a fucking shit show, wasn't it?
It was a new level of low for Failcast, which makes me proud at the same time, I think. I'm not sure.
It was correctly labelled by yourself as the failiest Failcast episode we've ever done, which I think is a fair critique. But we've had a patch since then, and I'm feeling a little bit better about things, because when I was doing my warm-up laps, the car felt pretty good.
Interesting. Okay.
But you didn't feel the difference, did you? You didn't feel the new patch difference?
No, but then I've only had a few laps where I've been quite unwell, and apologies if I start coughing midstream and I can't reach the microphone for muting. I've kind of paused my career mode and everything else in the meantime, so I've only done a couple of laps. It did feel steady, but I wasn't sure if that was just me gingerly playing in or not.
I'm a little concerned about how you're going to do in this stream, to be honest with you, because I was sat minding my own business the other day, just scrolling through my PlayStation feed.
Uh-oh.
I saw you've been playing something called All-Star Fruit Racers. And I thought, oh no, this is not going to help driving Baku.
That's why I had to do a quick few laps before this race, because I was like, I'm doing that, and there's another game called Party Crashers as well, which is just micro machines. So I was like, I can't go in and expect those physics.
No. But the banana car stops in half this distance.
Wrong banana, Renault.
So we're going to maybe have a bit of a shorter episode today, but we do have a buttload of news to talk about. And normally, we have a slow intro because we do qualifying, but we've already qualified. So we're going to have a bit of on-grid chatter. Should we go into the grid?
Yeah, dive onto grid.
It's better than looking at a menu, isn't it? Because we have a vast amount to talk about and about half the usual time to do it in. So let's start with a team we haven't discussed in quite a long time, which would be Williams. Big Williams news this week.
Yes, and news that makes me happy on the inside.
Every mother's dream boyfriend, George Russell, has been signed for 2019 at Williams. And I instinctually, when I heard that, and we'll talk about that in more detail, of course, but when I heard that, I instinctually thought, okay, well, it'll be Russell and Sorokin for next year. But hold that thought. Williams have now said that they would like to partner him with Esteban Ocon.
Yes.
They just need to secure the funding. This is fantastic news to me. This is exactly what Williams should be doing.
Yeah. As much as I actually think Sorokin's done a decent job this year, Ocon would do better. and that's two races. I rate George Russell higher than I do Lando Norris. I think I've moaned about that beforehand, and I'm super excited that is even a thing that they're considering. And I'd have thought that Mercedes would be kind of lubricating that deal a little bit, but we're not sure.
Apparently, they're not prepared to.
Oh,
which seems a little counterproductive, doesn't it? But apparently so.
Unless they're worried that because the Williams will be towards the back of the grid, that then when they stick Ocon in the car to replace Bottas in 2020, you heard it here, not very first at all, it kind of makes sense that they might be like, oh, we're not sure, kind of thing, about if that ruins his reputation. I don't know.
True. I think that's probably a fair way to look at it. But I mean, they've already decided about him. I think he's already proved himself, and I think he could handle the season at the back. That's assuming they even stay at the back. I mean, I don't know. I had a lot of worries about Williams up until about 2-3 weeks ago. And then the tone completely changed from the team. Like, everything official I read, the tone completely changed. Obviously, they're in a difficult position because they've lost the Martini money, which was a lot of money, and they're losing the Stroll money, and they're going to be potentially losing the Sorokin money. Now, every news article I read about the possibility of Ocon going there, of course, caveated that by saying, oh, and Robert Kubica's trying to put together a more enticing financial package for next year. And immediately I just thought, go away, Robert. Go away. Go away.
Now is not the time.
No, you're how old is he now? I'm going to Google it since we're not racing.
37, I think?
Yeah, I think he's something like that. And I just don't think he's going to be the guy to lead in terms of development.
No.
He is.
Because, especially after where he said in the Beyond the Grid podcast, he says, I am like a newbie. So he's even saying himself, I haven't got a clue of these cars. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know why he would want to force his way into a race seat there. It's hardly going to be a glorious return for him, is it?
No, it needs to. And if he's going to build up the team, he won't be there to reap the benefits unless he's Kimmying it. Or Alan Jones.
He's only 33 though. We were both wrong. I think it's because he looks really old, because he started balding really early. He's a bit like a Rubens Barrichello. You know, like, even when he debuted, he looked about 40, and he just has a touch of the Rubens about him. Well, I mean, regardless, I think the consensus amongst most people is that he's never going to be at the level he once was. And when you've got someone like Ocon potentially sitting on the sidelines, for me it's a no-brainer. But of course, Ocon becomes very expensive because Mercedes are not prepared to lubricate the deal. Unfortunate and a little short-sighted in my opinion, but I'm sure they have their motives for it. George Russell, though, isn't he also on the Mercedes Junior program?
He is, but he signed up for a multi-year deal at Williams, and I think that's because when you look at like the train of succession drivers, I think for me Ocon is who succeeds Bottas, Russell is who succeeds Hamilton when he goes, and then that's them sorted. So he's all right to sit and play around for a few years whilst Hamilton collects championships, and then once he's done and he wants to go off and do something else, then they've got their replacements there, and if not, they've got one or two coming up through the pipeline should either of those falter for any reason. So they're kind of sorted.
Do you have any concerns at all? I mean, I think Ocon can withstand it, but given that Russell hasn't been in Formula One competitively yet, do you think there's a legitimate concern that this could actually harm his career? No.
I think for me, Russell is. I'm not going to say not naturally talented, because he is, but he is like a hard grafter, and I think that's exactly why he will go well at Williams. And in the same way that I try to think of another person that would. that like you'd graft and build a team around you and focus around it that way. He'll be the person that's there at like 11 at night, still clocking away at stuff. So I think he'll earn respect from that way, regardless of where competitiveness the car is. I think what concerns me maybe the most, even if he's in the back of the grid car, is sometimes he needs an engineer to help him drive. And then like in GP2, sometimes his engineer has gone, George, just drive, because he's busy like going, I feel like I'm slower in sector 2, what do you think I should do better? And they're like, nope, you're fastest, just keep going. So I think once he gains a little bit more of that confidence, he'll be all right. And that's why I'd quite like to see Ocon in that car alongside, because then he's not taking on leadership mantle. It's a bit like when Button went to Williams in 2000, because you wouldn't have put him in there at that age, young driver, done very well, but immediately in a team leadership position. I don't think you should need to take that on your first year.
No, definitely not. I mean, whoever partners him needs to be someone who can take the mantle of leader, at least in the short term. I mean, I would love to see a Williams resurgence under George Russell.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would all love to see that, to be honest.
Britain a Brit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, also, the potential was, I did hear or read a rumor that Williams, there was a potential for an all-British lineup, because they have another British guy in the young driver program, don't they, Williams? I forget his name.
Do they?
They do. They signed him last year, I believe. And the professional that I am, I have forgotten his name. But point is, George Russell and Captain Forgettable, they were mooted as a potential all-British lineup, and I'm wondering if that's something maybe they're doing to leverage some sponsorship, because I think the Formula One arm of Williams is in pretty bumpy territory now, financially, because this year wasn't so bad because they were still taking prize money from 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
But this year and next, they're going to bump down to earth with a big bump, and particularly because they're losing the Stroll money, and they're losing the Martini money, and they're losing prize money. They're probably going to be losing Sirotkin money, we would guess. And I don't know where they're going to replace it from, because there seems to be no appetite right now, as a general rule, for new title sponsorship deals. I mean,
not for Williams, no.
I mean, people might point to the fact that Ferrari have reliveried their car, but this is the same title sponsor they've always had. It's just it was a sponsor that was fine not to have their logos on the car for legal reasons.
No, I will say though that talking of sponsorships that have come through, Toro Rosso have just taken on KFC, which makes me worry that Sean Galale may have a race seat or a reserve seat. Please be reserved. Please be reserved. No, we don't deserve that. And McLaren have taken on Coca-Cola.
They have indeed taken on Coca-Cola, which is, I believe, the first time they've entered under the branding of the mothership. Coca-Cola brands have been in Formula 1 before, but I don't believe Coca-Cola ever has. So it's kind of a big deal. But if you look at Twitter, there's lots of people making jokes now about trying to see the Coca-Cola logo. So there's like pictures of guys with binoculars and people with magnifying glasses, because it's a tiny little logo close to the barge boards. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, the way the deal was announced, I saw headlines that said major new sponsorship deal. I think a lot of us thought, oh, wow, they finally got a title sponsor, but no. And this deal is provisional going forward, so they've committed till the end of this season, but there's nothing to say they'll still be there next season. And I could actually see them jumping ship to a different team, to be honest, the way McLaren are going. I do wonder if this is just a dip of the toes. I'd love to see McLaren get a title sponsor and start on the road to recovery, but I just don't. Out of all the teams on the grid right now, I think McLaren are probably the least appealing for me if I was a sponsor.
Yeah.
Because Williams, I think you could make a strong argument that they've hit rock bottom now. So I don't think they're going to be worse next year.
Now's your time to get in cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, whereas McLaren, I still think they've got a little way to fall, to be honest. I think we're looking at a good 3-4 seasons of them still to go being at the bottom, assuming they don't pull out entirely. What I found interesting, though, is that they announced a Coca-Cola sponsorship deal around the same day, in fact, that they announced they were not committing to IndyCar as a full-time entrant.
Which to me is such an own goal. I think we differ on this because you were less keen on the whole IndyCar thing. But for me, if it's falling apart in Formula One, spread the arms out elsewhere so that they can have their papaya orange somewhere else as well, so that it gives them more clout as a sponsorship. If you can do like a blanket sponsorship deal for something, maybe. But I think it's silly.
I see the logic there to what you're saying, but for me as a fan, but also if I was potentially a sponsor interested particularly in Formula One, I'd look at them making a move like that and say, okay, this is a team that's maybe not fully committed to Formula One. Or not committed to making it work in Formula One. Like, this is a team that's conceding defeat and is moving to a less technically complex series for an easy win. And I think it was the right decision because McLaren have been chasing the easy wins now for like 3 years, and easy wins don't really deliver much long term. What are you doing in terms of strategy, sir? Because I have noticed something quite interesting. If you look at that sort of serrated dotted line on the tyre stints, that's supposed to be your lap time. Have you noticed how the soft is actually the best race tyre? Because the ultra soft is super fast at the start of its stint, but by the end it is running at the same pace or even worse than the soft. And the super soft starts at about the same lap time as the soft, but degenerates so quickly that actually over the course of a stint you're probably losing time.
I thought that was wear. I didn't realise that was time.
Yeah, because if you look on the right side of the graph, the other metric is where is the coloured line, and the white line is lap time. See, because the thing is, I was going to stop twice. I was going to go super soft, ultra soft. Something which will no longer be possible next season.
Oh, I know. Do you know what? I actually no. Do I?
No,
want
please,
to rage?
Please be angry. Be angry. This is the time and place to be angry because I don't like it either. The wall.
So I get that they're like, oh, there's too many colours of the rainbow. Let's all get rid of all the tyres. But they're not really getting rid of all the tyres at all because they're still bringing along all of the compounds, but then just rebranding them under the same three things. So what are we going to have? Commentators say, so today's soft is actually the super soft. Tomorrow's next week that will be the ultra soft. And by the way, super hard. And no, just no. So yeah, I'm super like, what the frick is all that about?
I mean, I appreciate they've done it for new fans, right? Because I believe the F1 fan voice has blown this out as well. That people who haven't been fans of Formula One very long find it off-putting. But you know, like, there's people in my life who are very casual F1 watchers who like pretty quickly pick up the concept. People are quite smart, right? Yep. And you know, sometimes maybe they'll ask you a question and say, well, why is it a different colour now? And you just say, well, the what would normally be the softest tyre is too hard for this track. So they have additional levels of soft. Rebranding them all as hard, medium and soft, while it may make things more immediately accessible, I think it masks a lot of the nuance of the sport. And as a fan, I want to know if the soft tyre is the super soft or the ultra soft or the hyper soft. I really do, because also, can you imagine how it's going to be for us doing the Failcast next year?
Oh, yeah.
Because there is a difference. Like, the softest compound at any one race does not last as long as the softest compound at any other. It doesn't behave the same. I want to know if I'm having hyper softs or ultra softs as the softest possible compound. Like, I want to know because I know how they behave. I don't know, man. It just feels ridiculous to me. I'm going to go for this one-stop strategy because apparently it's like 9 seconds faster, even though I think that's a lie.
I see. Now I'm not getting that, but then remember, I kill my tyres so much harder than you do, so I have to two-stop. But I was going to go ultras super, but I'm going to go ultra soft super. Do you want to do a tricolor? I'm coming in on lap 5. Is that all right?
Yes, it is, because I'm coming in. If I stop twice, I'm coming in lap 9 and lap 20.
Oh yeah, because you went supers in quali, didn't you?
I did.
I had to ultra it to get through.
So are you ultras,
Soft.
super softs, ultras to softs,
Then super softs. Because I've only got one set of softs for the race, and it knackers out if I go beyond like 12 laps
misses.
or so.
Shall we dive in? I suppose.
Go on then. We've put it off long enough.
Yeah. I presume we may need a limited amount of restarts.
I think we might be all right. We'll soon see.
What else has been going on? Let me have a thinkaroo. Because we will come back to Williams actually during the race because there's more to say on that, but I want to make sure I don't miss any of the big news like I have a habit of doing. So something else that happened was I saw Carlos Sainz complaining that the Honda gains recently have been scary. I would say, as a fan, scary is not the word I would use.
No.
But I have to say, Toro Rosso seem to be making that power unit work quite nicely, don't they?
Yes, they do. And it's, for me, this goes back to the philosophy of letting Honda do what they need to do and giving them this breathing space to let it work. Along with, I think you mentioned it a few casts ago, didn't they have someone from Mercedes pop along to help? And I can't remember if they refused it or if they took it.
I can't remember either if they refused it or not. I get the feeling that they did, but the offer was definitely extended. I really do think this, though, is really a byproduct of not being shackled to McLaren. By which I mean old school McLaren. You see, if McLaren listened to me, the consummate businessman and racing professional that I am, and we're still running Honda as the works team, because let's be honest, politically, the Red Bull teams were always going to end up at Honda.
After slaying Renault,
they'd be in a. Well, actually, I'm about to say they'd be in a strong position, but actually that may not be true because the innovations Honda have made partnering with Toro Rosso, McLaren may have vetoed.
Because they'll be like, oh well, we need to package it tight, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, which was the problem all along, right? This obsession with tight aero packaging, which if you look at cars up and down the grid, it doesn't seem to be as big a deal as it was in the 2000s.
No.
Like the Red Bull, for example, widely regarded as one of the best aerodynamic designs on the grid right now. That has a hole in the nose, which is, as an aero feature, fucking terrible, but it doesn't seem to affect them too much because they're making it up by other means. Why am I driving through everybody?
Oh, that always happens at this one. It's like they've not quite worked out how to do the grid properly. So I think it was in FP1. I was watching it on BBC, even though it's been soggy biscuit all this weekend for Austin. And Horn of the Christian Variety was saying that Honda, he thinks, is now equidistant between where Ferrari and Mercedes is and the same distance back to Renault, which I have no basis for, but I thought that was just an interesting analogy.
I mean, well, actually all of Red Bull have been making comments on the Honda issue, actually, because Verstappen was saying that, well, he's listened to what Renault was saying prior to the start of the season, and he said it's just the same old story, it's the same old noise. Which, I'm inclined to believe. Because Renault is an outfit that previously, for sure, I would have presumed to be capable technologically of actually dominating this formula. When I heard we were moving to V6s,
nice move.
Thank you. I actually thought, oh, this is Renault territory. Little efficient V6s, that is, to my mind at least, should be Renault speciality. I was expecting teams like Ferrari to struggle.
Yeah.
But no. Oh, I forgot how heavy the car feels at the start of a race. I have to brake a little bit earlier.
I'm right behind you, but I have a damaged front wing, so I'm okay, but I won't be challenging you anytime soon.
I was going to say you can if you want, because I'm staying out longer than you, and if we're simulating a real team,
we'd have crashed into each other by now.
Yeah, we would have crashed into each other by now. But also, the team orders would be to let you through to maximise the faster tyre. Because also, my car feels incredibly heavy.
Mine does too.
Insanely heavy.
But I think you've got the pace over me anyway.
Do you know, I'm a bit cheeky around here, to be honest. I'm a little bit of a rascal. I think I can get one more lap on Hot Lap ERS,
I'm immediately onto DERS 3, or whatever it is. DERS 3, not DERS.
No, the DERS is a different arcane technique. I almost lost it there. Anyway.
Yes.
Onwards and upwards, since we inexplicably managed to finish,
We've done a
finish
lap!
the first lap without incident. Tangentially related to this, I suppose, in some sense, is I do agree with all this comment from the Red Bull camp regarding Renault in particular, is there, certainly from Verstappen, I wonder, to psych out Ricciardo, because he's about to move to the Renault Works team. It certainly doesn't make me feel sorry for Carlos Sainz, because he's going to the worst Renault team next year.
Yeah.
And I do rate him so highly.
Yeah, no, he's kind of said this is a long-term investment, and I was like, yeah, how long do you want that investment to be, Carlos? He is a bit doomed, I feel. But yeah, he's been absolutely shimmy shafted, as he has generally been throughout most of his deals in Formula One. And it was interesting. Tony Dodgens was saying Ricciardo, even though he started from the back of the grid last time out in Japan, came around and lapped the Renaults, and I wonder what he was thinking at that time when he was going past, thinking that's going to be me next year, probs.
Yeah, although to be honest, I don't think Renault will continue this backward slide.
No, I think they're backward sliding this year because they've already decided to work hard for next year, if that makes sense.
And I was reading in Autosport that actually they have their power unit for next year is entirely new.
Ooh.
Which surprised me. I didn't expect that at all. I thought it would be an iteration, but apparently their power unit is in a whole new specification.
Nice.
Now, obviously, as Honda have demonstrated to us more than once, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to not be shit.
No,
but
that's true.
It is at least a thing that has happened.
If it's a new design philosophy, then that is good.
Braking just a few meters earlier is making this a lot easier. I don't feel like I'm having to negotiate with a terrorist as I'm turning a corner, Please don't push the barrier, please don't push the barrier.
A new strategy is available. But
Jeff, not already.
I do feel
Is he
like
bringing you in early?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he might, because I'm pulling away. And I've started to figure out how the AI works, on this pit strategy thing. Because I've noticed that if you have an off and you lose time to the car in front, even if the car is undamaged, like your car,
yeah,
it just detects a massive gain by the car in front and just goes, oh, we'll pull you in and change your tyres arbitrarily. Even if your tyres are like 2 laps old. Oh, someone's in the pits already. Very early stop from Vettel.
To be fair, this was when it was saying that the ultras were going to give up after. I suppose if you've had now in the quali laps as well, that is lap 6, isn't it? So.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah.
I'm going to come in this lap then.
Pitting this lap then. Coming to the pits at the end of this lap.
And I'm going to replace my front wing purely because I'm having to lift in that chicane at the end of the lap.
This is the one track where I will always replace my front wing, even if I've just lost an end plate, because it really does make a difference. Before we go on with real news, I want some careers guidance from you.
Ooh.
Because I'm about to finish my first season in career mode. And even though, according to the rules of game balance, it shouldn't be possible, I've now developed the Sauber into the 4th best car on the grid. Without even trying. And I've decided the developers really hate Marcus Ericsson because, despite that, he has only scored once.
Christ.
Even though the car is incredible. And we now have the best power unit on the grid by some margin. Even better than Mercedes.
Excellent.
And it annoys me a little bit because I wasn't even trying to develop the car. I was trying to develop the factory. And sort of mid-season, I felt this pressure that Williams were going to overtake us. I was like, shit, okay, well let's invest in upgrading the car then. I did, and now it's a beast, and I'm on the podium at every Grand Prix. Now I've got 2 choices really. I could stick with Sauber, which was my plan, and just up the difficulty. But I really don't know what level would be appropriate because I get bored very quickly if I'm winning without a fight. And part of me thought, well, maybe I should go to Haas and partner K-Mags.
Ooh.
But then I realised that Haas have gone from being like the 4th best team on the grid to like the 8th in my career mode. And I think, well, surely then I'm just grinding for the sake of it. I'm just repeating the grind. It just feels wrong in my 2nd season to go to Ferrari.
And you don't want to stick with Sauber?
What to do. I kind of do, but it's getting too easy. And I could up the difficulty, but I really don't know by what level. Because I'm going to keep upgrading the car, right?
Yeah,
so even if I up it to a level where at the start of next year I'm thinking, oh, this level of challenge is brilliant, I'm getting in the points, but it requires a bit of luck and a bit of effort. By the end of the season, I'm going to be winning again. So it just feels a little... I really liked the idea of like the 0 to 100% difficulty, or 110, whatever it is. Like I really like that as an idea because it's a lot more nuanced than easy, medium, and hard. But it seems even that isn't nuanced enough.
I guess because if you're able to do the what difficulty percentage are you on?
I went from 90 to 92. I'm now on 95.
Okay, so that's what I'm on. Because I get the impression that the higher up the difficulties, the more difficult it is to get resource points, and that might kind of help stuff out a little bit, maybe. But it's still a bit meh because I've been noticing as well is that I had a few things go wrong with my upgrades immediately, and it dropped my McLaren right the way back to the back of the pack. But in a couple of races, I've regained that all back again, and I was like, so
which wasn't supposed to be possible, was it?
No, I thought maybe
like they said in the pre-release information, they said, it should take you like 3 to 4 seasons to develop yourself off the back row up to sort of the sharp end of the grid.
Yeah.
But I've done it in less than half a season.
Yeah.
I think what it is actually, maybe they've overestimated how difficult it is to complete the practice programs or people's willingness to complete the practice programs. I wonder if they did like a survey of people who bought the game and they'll say, just fucking skip practice, it's boring. So they thought, let's not make it too grindy. And then presuming that people wouldn't bother grinding for it, they've sort of sat back on the laurels and gone, yeah, look at this, it's a really in-depth development process that will take a lot of time and input before you reap the rewards. And then actually that just isn't the case at all, because people like yourself, me, and I presume quite a sizable, more mature chunk of the audience just completes all the practice programs out of habit.
Yeah.
And there's been very few I've failed. Very few.
Yeah, there's only a
Usually
few that...
it's the fuel one that I fail.
See, it's always Tireware for me. But it's... that's true, because when you look at... you get the team bonus one that goes alongside your individual session ones as well. It gives you... because you can choose an easy, medium or hard one, and I think I've chosen mediums most of the time, but they are giving you 3 weekends to complete 6 practice sessions successfully. So that's what, 2 per race. So if that's what they think people will be doing, they'll do the acclimatisation one and maybe the qualifying one, because I like to go fast for time trial me, and then they think people will move on. And maybe that's why we're beasting through it, because there's actually 6 per weekend.
That's just it, isn't it? And like I even when I moved mine to hard to negotiate a better contract, it was still like complete 6 practice programs across 2 weekends, or it was what was it? Gain 3 points in 3 weeks or something. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, well, come on, the game knows that I've been on the podium for like 4 consecutive races. Surely it can't be too difficult to sort of give a little bit of nuance to things.
Yeah.
And it's really funny as well, because I won my first race a few weeks back, and then in my debrief from Colin, I don't know if you read the debrief emails.
Yeah.
But I was impressed by how detailed they are, right? Because he was making reference to like specific events. So he was saying things like, well, you were derating too much and you need to pay attention to that, and all kinds of things that quite impressed me. Then I win my first Grand Prix and he goes, not many notes from this weekend. Qualified well, got on the podium, nice. And it's like, whoa, I didn't just get on the podium, I won in a Sauber.
Yeah.
Monza, this is a big deal. We're sponsored by Alfa Romeo. This should be a huge thing, but no. And what I found is I'm in a strange position now where all the teams love me except the one I drive for, and that is because every time I get interviewed by Robot Lee McKenzie, all the answers that keep the respect of the team are locked because I'm not a sportsman enough yet.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So I have the lowest reputation with the team that I have brought up to 4th in the Constructors' Championship, 3rd now actually in the Constructors' Championship, based entirely on my points. I think the Merrickson has 2 points that he fluked into. And what annoys me as well is that Merrickson's started to qualify really well. As I've developed the car, he's qualifying sort of top 8. But then just goes backwards during the race, or DNFs for a reason that's never adequately explained. I'm still loving the game. It's just a minor niggle, and I'm sort of thinking, well, the logical thing to do in one sense is just move the Haas, because that's like the next step or the next perceived step in the Ferrari ladder.
Yeah.
But then you think, real world here. If Sauber were outperforming Haas like this, would Ferrari actually move you from Sauber to Haas, or would they say, well, stay at Sauber since they're so competitive? Mm-hmm. But also, I kind of think that the teammate challenge would be much more of a challenge if my teammate wasn't Merrickson. Because K-Mags actually does really well in this game. I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, he's always tickling the podium. And I sort of think, well, at least my teammate will be more believably close to me if I move to Haas.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I hate it's always congratulations on the podium, Marcus finished 18th. It's
yeah.
what?
Yeah. I wonder if that's like some kind of bug, because he's not that terrible in real life. Yeah, it's a bit strange.
But anyway, I suppose we should get back onto real F1 news, and I wanted to talk about our very own team. Racing Point for Stroll India Sahara Kingfisher.
With their shock announcement for Perez.
There's been huge amount of news coming out of them. Now, obviously, the announcement of Perez is kind of, well, Kel fucking surprise. But something I did see was an announcement that they are building a new factory.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They are building a brand new factory. Big deal, big news, huge investment, and also more good news. They have heard the fans loud and clear, and they will be changing the name. Officially, end of this season, they have heard the fans that Racing Point is about as popular as herpes, and they haven't said conclusively they won't use it, but they have said that they will register a new name for the team by the end of the season, and they are considering options, which to me is kind of PR speak for, like, okay, it won't be Racing Point. And they clarified that Racing Point was put there simply because it was the name of the consortium that rescued the team, and they just had to make a quick decision. They haven't ruled out that it could be named after one of the sponsors. They've also announced that none of their sponsors have indicated they wish to pull out. Cool. So they should retain a very healthy sponsor portfolio. And more news, they've paid off all their debts.
Yes, I spotted that, because that's superb, because it just means that it's now a clean slate. They can build up what they need to. And actually, I think what that does show is Stroll's big bucks really are there for reals. I mean, how many times have we seen a team get taken over by a mysterious, I don't know, Arabian prince or something like that?
Yeah, and then it doesn't pay off the debts.
Yeah, and then nothing actually changes. That's got to be like the quickest turnaround for like a back to front thing that I've seen for a very long time, that I can remember, because quite often things come in and they're still quite slow to kind of get going, but he's really been quick off the mark. And to me that also then means I know Stroll will be there next year, but that kind of also means that they can just leave everyone be for this year.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually think Stroll will end up, well, he obviously will, I think, end up seeing out the season, which I think was a shrewd move on the part of everyone involved, particularly because Force India are not very popular for letting Ocon go. But I have to say that it makes me... Because there's a difference, right? Because Stroll could have used his billions to sort of act as a guarantor, right? And in the financial world, that would have been enough. He would have taken over the team and it would have worked out fine and everyone's happy, right? Because worst case scenario, his billions are there to cushion things.
Yeah.
And keep the creditors happy. But to actually proactively pay off the creditors, I think that, and commit to building a new factory, I think that shows that, okay, yes, he is going to nepotise and put his son in there, but he is at least serious about maintaining the team and developing it.
Yeah.
Because it was quite expensive to buy that team anyway, and part of me thought, well, maybe he'll buy it and then just leave it as it is, kind of like we were just alluding to, and just use it as a vehicle for his son's career to keep him in Formula One. But this looks like it's a long-term investment that he's taking quite seriously, and I'm all in favour of that. If any team deserves that, I mean, because we were saying end of last year that if any team sort of deserves a work steal now, it would be Force India. And this is, they didn't get a work steal, but this is as close as they're probably going to get to one. And I, for one, am delighted.
Agreed. Love that. I'm so glad that they're building a new factory. I wonder what's the last time that they actually had investment in like that. It must be back in the Jordan days.
Yeah, I mean that is the old Jordan factory, isn't it?
Yeah. But I don't ever remember them ever having anything new toy-wise to play with.
No, me neither, actually. Me neither. But it's a state-of-the-art facility, 80 million budgeted for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. I mean, bearing in mind, McLaren's factory didn't cost a huge amount more than that build. I think theirs was something like 150 million. So kind of a big deal. But what I find odd is that they haven't confirmed Stroll for next year.
No.
And wouldn't it be hilarious if his dad was like, shit, I'm paying the bills now, we don't want you.
Ocon ends up there all along. What?
Oh shit, I've taken off my front wing.
Oh no. I just seen your front
ahoy there,
wing.
sailor. Yeah, this is shit because I was running really well.
Bang it. Don't bin it in the chicane. Be safe.
You did, mate. I did see it. We were just talking Force India, actually, and the confirmation of one Mr. Perez.
Wow.
Well, that's my race jinxed. I was on for second there, but I have to now switch from softs to ultras, and I'm pitting again now. Should still be able to get some points, though, I hope.
Yeah, I was noticing actually that maybe it was just because everyone was going slightly long, but everyone was clumped up together, and even though I'd pitted, I was starting to get back onto the back of everyone that had yet to pit again, and the Toro Rossos had done. So no, it's looking... I'm liking your recommendation for the soft tyres. This is working out nicely for me, because I don't have pace here at all.
Yeah, I'm sad now that I won't actually get a stint on the softs. Now I have to fight my way through the field, but I've got the pace to do it. I'm not happy about having to stop a fourth time now. That could cost me some valuable points, but I've recharged my ERS at least, so I can start deploying that soon. Problem is, it's not a great track for overtaking.
No, because there's too much DRS and they get back past again.
And also, I don't like how the car is on ultras, to be honest with you.
No, it's too oversteery.
I didn't actually see Checo's interview, mate. I didn't, but apparently he's confirmed Stroll, or all but confirmed Stroll, Simon.
Oh, okay. That kind of makes
Because
sense.
I was just surprised that there hadn't been like an official team letter-headed statement that the team is delighted to announce Lance Stroll is coming. Surprise, surprise! It's Silla here, which is a reference almost nobody will get. Not just because a lot of people aren't in Britain, but also because they aren't old.
We're not old. We're not old.
Speak for yourself. I fucking won't be on the super softs. What are you talking about, Jeff? What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. Can we also lament, just briefly, can we dive to the front runners, because Sebastian Vettel continues to self-harm his own championship with now a free place
I did
grid
want to
drop.
talk about this, actually. I did want to talk about this because it seems like he's allergic to success.
Yeah, the free place grid drop for going too fast on a red flag session because someone, I think it was Leclerc, had gone off and spread marbles everywhere. Uh-oh.
I went offline to try and get past someone, and now I've taken my wing off again.
Oh no.
It's okay though, because I can make the same number of stops. I'll just switch to the softs. I don't
that'll
want
work.
super softs, Jeff.
You'll be able to get to the end from there.
Yeah, can I put them back on though? That's the question.
Normally it does.
Softs. Box this lap.
Got the does.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the super softs.
It was all going so well. I'm going to be lapped by Hamilton. I was racing him for position like 3 minutes ago.
Aww. It was okay.
Oh, what have I done here? Oh well, at least I'm going through the front wing rations.
At least it's not me for once. So far, touch wood.
Yeah.
There's been a few near misses. What was I going to say? Yeah, so Vettel with his allergy to success just keeps unravelling and unravelling everywhere. And he just seems to be more depressed. He's now overtaken Brotas as Mr. I want to Jolyon Palmer myself. Where they kept on doing that meme with "Hello darkness, my old friend." Now he just seems like completely like, well, we turned up for the day, we put the car out, I managed to fuck it up a little, and we went home again. That's all, you see? It's just complete moose ability. So
I love that Leclerc is his teammate next season.
it's going to be absolutely wipe the floor. Apparently, so Ocon was asked, what do you think will happen next year? And he went, he'll get wiped the floor. Sorry,
part of me thinks that might be true.
Yeah.
I think years of partnering Kimi has made him fat and soft around the middle. and he seems no, because really, like, I'm trying not to disrespect Kimi as much as is possible with this analogy, but I mean, Kimi was never a threat to him.
No. There or thereabouts, never going to attack.
And Ferrari were quite prepared to, in the manner of like an Aztec sacrifice, throw Kimi to the wolves for Sebastian's race, and I don't think they'll do that with Leclerc.
No. I strongly feel, and I know we've said this before, that his signing is purely because they have lost some faith in Vettel's ability to bring it on home and do the goods, as we've seen time and time again this year. He's had someone said that he's made 6 mistakes in Grand Prix this year. That's like Maldonado ratio. They're not all like race finishing, obviously.
Well, it's certainly Verstappen ratio.
Yeah, exactly. It's just he done all of his back to back and is now on a clean run, whereas Verch, our little chum, keeps on giving the goods. Oh, I think I was meant to.
Now there's something we didn't touch on last time. Well, we did, but we didn't really get chance in amongst all the crashing and debris and the screaming and the lost limbs. Which was Grosjean's re-signing at Haas. We did dabble with this a little bit, but I've had another 2 weeks to think on this.
Ooh.
And you're probably thinking, well, time to reflect. Maybe you've come to a more nuanced position. And basically, the whole point of this segment is to confirm that no, I have not. He's shit. And he needs to go. Exaggeration now. Like, I do rate Grosjean. I think he is capable of great drives, but he's completely forgotten how to do it. And what I've noticed, though, and this is the reason I'm bringing it up, is I do keep my finger on the pulse in terms of what other F1 fans think. I read Twitter, I read the comment sections of things, even though they give you cancer.
Yeah.
And I have to say that it seems a lot of people are looking at Grosjean's performances and then talking about Grosjean and Magnussen in the same terms. And I know Magnussen's had a inconsistent year this year, I think it's fair to say.
I don't.
But I would say overall, his time at Haas has been a net positive for everyone involved. And it seems like Grosjean being rubbish has rubbed off on Magnussen in the eyes of the fans. It's really bizarre.
I think Magnussen's had a stonking year.
On balance he has, but there have been some inexplicable losses of pace, which I think need to be ironed out. He's had some poor qualifyings as well. He's dropped out in Q1 a few occasions.
I nearly done a pit lane.
I've done a pit lane. But also, for the F1 merchandise aficionados, there is currently a 20% off sale in the Haas store.
Ooh.
And if you poodle your way over there, there is a fantastic t-shirt. You know the famous Run DMC t-shirts?
It's tricky, yeah.
Well, they've got a Grosjean and Magnussen Run DMC t-shirt, so it's Gromag on the Run DMC logo. And I really like it. I want it. I want it in my life. Even though Grosjean's a bit rubbish, I've developed a genuine love of K-Mags.
Aww.
It started around the time we drove Monaco in our season last year, and it's just snowballed from there. That now I kind of think that I'm glad he's there, and I hope he goes on to do even bigger things long term.
What did you make of his move and drama with Leclerc in Suzuka?
Excellent question. I'm agnostic on this because I actually couldn't decide how I felt on the matter. I think it's one of the few incidents where I've been able to see it from both sides, and I'm not prepared to say like it's just fine, it's one of those things that happens. I really don't know. I really don't. What did you think?
Ah, that was cheeky signs. You've just had my bloody wing. I think K-Mags was a bit cheeky. I think it was so borderline. I can't decide. Hello, Ultraman. Thanks for joining, dude. Yeah, I'm utterly unsure of how I feel.
There's been a comment sat down here from Beetlejuice for like 5 minutes now, and I'm trying to find a brief moment to read it. I'm sorry, mate. I'm not ignoring it. Loyalty in pro sport should be. I kind of agree. Like when they re-signed him for the season that we're in now, that was my stance. Because even then, I kind of felt like he could be doing better. But I thought, well, it's still a fairly young team, and there is value in consistency. And you know, Grosjean has shown before that if you give him a chance, if you give him the benefit of the doubt, he can bring it back somehow.
He needs love.
He does need love. Problem is that K-Mags is the golden boy there now, and deservedly so. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's going to get the golden boy position back. And I also really don't know how he managed to secure that drive again for another year. I have honestly no idea, because he says, well, it was my drive in Germany, and I think, is that how they're genuinely running that team? Because surely not on the back of one race do you go, oh, all right then, and sign them again. Like, that to me seems very counterproductive. That said, though, I do wonder if they just didn't want the administrative headache of trying to hire a new driver, because Gene Haas, and this is why I brought it on to Haas, Gene Haas in the news yesterday saying, oh, I don't own a Formula 1 team, I own a Formula 1.5 team, and I don't know if even a budget cap will bridge the gap.
Okay.
And this, and he says, well, if we get fourth in the constructors this year, this is like a win in our series. But he was talking very much in terms that he was spitting his dummy out that his team can't win, which we saw coming from literally 3 years away.
Yeah.
It's a comment that sounds very much like how Tony Fernandez was talking the season before he gave his team the ultimatum.
Yeah.
And I still feel Haas isn't long for this world. I give them another 2, maybe 3 seasons. I'm prepared to go on the record with that.
Ooh.
I think the outfit will stay around with a new owner, but I think as an American branded team, as Haas, I really don't think they have that much lifespan left in them.
No, because maybe this is... It reminds me a little bit of Force India never had Indian brands outside of Kingfisher. And you kind of go, well, where's the Americans? Because there is none. And so is that actually a thing that is then making it fail?
Which I still find super surprising, because when Peter Windsor was having that masturbatory fantasy of running his own F1 team, and he started US F1, apparently Chad Hurley, the guy who founded YouTube, he was like big on it, and he was going to invest a lot of American money in it. And I'm starting to think, well, why would you spunk it into Peter Windsor's wank flannel, but you wouldn't spunk it into Haas, which is an actual F1 team?
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense to me either. Oh, fastest lap, look at you. Are you on the softs as well?
Super softs now.
Who misses? I thought I was going to catch everybody up, but it hasn't happened. I've just realised there's 6 laps till the finish, and I'm still 19th. But we have at least finished, which is something.
Or got far.
What position are you in?
I've just taken Grosjean for 10.
Oh, nice. So yeah, I'm quite prepared to sit here and say on the record I don't think Haas are along for this world. I also don't like the new look of their car, and we spoke about this a bit on Twitter, didn't we? I had a bit of a talk with Chimpy about it, because I was saying, well, look, if you've got a sponsor that demands that their logo is shown on a blue field, then don't ruin your current... I mean, obviously it depends how much money they put in, but don't ruin your current livery. Not that it can be ruined, because for my money it's the most boring livery on the grid.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it by taking a silver, white, black, red car and making parts of it royal blue, because it looks hideous, and it does. Just make the car blue.
Yep.
Just make it blue, because your own branding, like the Haas logo, the Haas automation thing, that is white. It goes with anything. Famously, yep. White goes with anything. And his other sponsors are all monochrome, right? So they can be in silver, grey, black, or white. So you just put the logos in white, and you do what Arrows did when they made their car black, right?
Yep.
They just happened to have sponsors that didn't have colour-sensitive branding, or had white logos anyway, and they thought, well, fuck it, black and white, looks good, and it does. And Chimpy was saying, well, it's a nice idea, but surely you only do that for a title sponsor. And you say, well, I said, well, Haas are the title sponsor, and their logo works in any colour. There's literally no penalty to making the car look nicer, because it's not pissing off any other sponsor. No,
and it's your head above the door. You should have to say. For me, if they're going to stick some blue on it, then let's go full American and do red, white and blue, and commit to it properly. Haas can be all the white.
In the way the Manor logo went very British for their last year.
Yeah.
I actually really like that livery.
I loved that livery, and I really loved what they'd done. Admittedly, it's not going to win them any sponsorship or any money, but what they used to do with the pre-race stuff, when they used to do the posters to show what the next race was coming up, because they was all in that vintage British look. Yeah. And it was so good. And there's something that they could do with Haas to show the automation and the fact that it's all tools, sirens, OVs, to kind of show who they are as a brand, and to kind of, I don't know, stick a spanner in it or something like that. There's so much they could do, and I feel like I want to be their branding person.
Oh, that was just the sirens. That was just the triage nurse on his way to give mouth to mouth to Brendan Hartley's career. Who has also been in the news this week, since we only got 4 laps left, saying that, oh, well, I think it's debatable whether I got the support I needed in Formula 1, which is, I was thinking, you are so fucking diplomatic, Brendan. That's your problem. You're too nice.
Yeah.
Like, everybody in the world can see that you were as welcome there as a fart in a spacesuit.
Yeah, he was a pork burrito at a Muslim wedding. It wasn't great. It just...
And apparently they are replacing him because it could go to Alexander Albon, right?
Yeah, who I really rate. And the fuel to fire in this is that at the Formula E test, he was there, his car was there, and he wasn't allowed out on track throughout the whole thing. And there was no technical issues or anything like that at all. So it was just a, what you doing? So, yeah, very, very interesting. And, yeah, I'd be super intrigued because that's why I was getting confused over who you thought the Williams Brit was, because Alexander Albon is British Thai, and I was like, well, it can't be him.
It was Alex Lynn. The name came back to me, but he was in Formula E.
Ah, yeah, Formula E guy.
Oh, actually, no, he was in Formula E. He was racing for Virgin, but he got dropped.
Yes, he was a bit inconsistent, I think, wasn't he?
I thought he did all right, actually. But,
yeah, he was fine, but...
But yeah, it was him I was thinking of, and apparently he was being considered for the Williams seat. I don't know if he still is. But I thought he did all right. What's interesting is that Felix Rosenqvist has been dropped from Formula E as well.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that.
Even though he was a title contender.
Never did quite get that one.
So, very weird. Alright, Jeff, no need to rub it in. Actually, I wanted to see if that would be possible to finish the episode on Formula E, even though we are technically a Formula 1 podcast, because Formula E had their testing this week. I am a big Formula E fan, as you know. Obviously, Formula 1 is still my passion, but I think Formula E is a series for the future. And I think eventually Formula E will become the series I watch more than Formula 1. Simply because they've managed to find a way of having technical innovation and competition without having a rigid hierarchy. And the fact that the budgets are still small enough that the teams hire drivers on merit rather than pay drivers. Like, there's no pay drivers in Formula E, which I love. I mean, no drivers, like, there are drivers with sponsorship, but no drivers that are there solely because of sponsorship. Daniel Abt is there because his dad owns the team, but it's not there because of his money. Well, BMW have entered with their works team and they top the timesheets, which obviously I'm not going to jump the gun and say that they look like they're going to dominate the year, because I don't think it's necessarily the case. And Formula E has been nothing if not unpredictable the last few years. But it is nice to just see a team other than Audi having the one-lap pace or the short stint pace. But I wanted to talk about how the forthcoming season has such a healthy grid in terms of teams, manufacturers. There's so much technical diversity as well. I was impressed to learn that there are. I mean, now like powertrain is free competition, right? So gearbox, power units, and all the methods of power delivery basically are free to the manufacturers and the teams to develop themselves. And there is a control gearbox for those who want it, which is a Hewland 5-speed. But you have teams running 1 gear, 2 gear, 3 gear, 4 gear and 5 gear gearboxes. Some teams have 2 engines, which is allowed within the rules. So there's like, and yet all the cars seem to be in a fairly narrow window in terms of lap pace. So it's really great to see that these cars at different races have different advantages, very much like you saw with the tyre wars when, you know, Bridgestone entered to challenge Goodyear.
Yeah.
But you have the benefit of also having a grid that is quite closely matched in terms of driver talent, and you still got a largely controlled car, which looks fantastic, by the way. And this year's car is much more powerful and much faster than the ones we've had previously, so the racing should improve as well. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen this year, because Techeetah, the independent team that didn't have Works backing, that very nearly took the team's championship and did take the drivers' championship, is now a Works DS outfit, taking the Works DS contract from Virgin. And just look at the diversity of manufacturers you have in there now. Jaguar, Nissan have now entered. You have DS, you have... oh, bugger. Audi, BMW, and there's another. And that's almost as many powertrain suppliers as there are teams.
Yeah. Isn't Mercedes, isn't there?
Oh, Mercedes are entering. I don't think they're in this year, are they? But they have confirmed they'll be entering. And Ferrari are on the doorstep as well. They're looking at entering.
Yeah.
Also, in a sign that the series is indeed growing, the official beer of Formula One, Heineken, has now become the official beer of Formula E as well in a 5-season deal.
Oh.
So that too is exciting to me, because it shows that not just the car manufacturers but also the potential sponsors are taking it very seriously. And I really wonder now if Formula One aren't getting a little bit hot under the collar and thinking maybe they should have been braver.
Yeah, I think for me...
Then again, though, if Formula One had moved to electric and preempted Formula E, and we had no Formula E to compare Formula 1 to, I probably wouldn't be saying that, and we'd be sat here complaining about how we miss V8s.
Yeah, that driver change sounds like shit. It's Henry Hoover Formula.
Although I do actually like how the Formula E cars sound, except the Jaguar, which sounds like a bag of spans for some reason.
I do like the liveries as well.
Electric car. I do like the liveries. Have you seen the new Virgin?
Yes.
Because that looks phenomenal, I think. Really, really love that. And I love the Dragon Racing cars from last year, because you're allowed to run different liveries on different cars in Formula E, which are not in Formula 1.
Yeah.
So they had a marble white with metallic red, like light, shiny, glossy metallic red accents, and then they had a mirrored car, which was like shiny red with marble white accents, and both of them looked fantastic. I really love those cars.
Yeah, no, I do like the liveries. I still wish that the tracks were a little bit wider and promoted more potential overtaking rather than actual strategy side of stuff. And what I'm really, really interested to see is the Mario Kart boosting, and to see how that works, because if ever there was a gimmick that
buy them.
Yeah, if ever there's a gimmick that I think might go a bit too far, and apparently it's because they I see people discussing about actually fan boost is great, but it's never really changed anything, and I kind of thought, well, actually that's quite good that it doesn't. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, I think, with fan boost. I don't think this power boost pad thing will work particularly well if it's not set up in a way or in a track where you can actually do something with it.
Agreed.
Because the switching of cars, as soon as they lifted the minimum time, I thought that was hilarious and great fun. I was well enjoying that, seeing everyone trying to stack it to get in their car. I'm still awaiting a YouTube montage where it's done to the Benny Hill theme.
I think you're right. I mean, I'm actually against the Mario Kart boost, but I did like the fan boost, because it was... The fans actually exercised more restraint than I thought they would. Because if you had fan boost in Formula 1, it'd just be Verstappen all the time, getting like an extra 10 horsepower.
Yeah.
But in Formula E, people were actually watching the race, and where two drivers were kind of in competition with each other, they tended to attract the most votes, right?
Yeah.
And so any one of them could have got the fan boost.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they intended it to be used for, and it seemed like the fans used it, quote unquote, correctly. But I just think it's a great series. I agree with you that the circuits could be a little more race friendly, but I think that's kind of their thing, right? I think they chose quite relatively slow, complex street circuits for a multitude of reasons. One of which was, in season 1, would the batteries go the distance if they were flat out all the time?
Yeah,
probably not.
No.
But also because the benefit of electric street racing is that it's allowed to happen in the city centre, right? And I've always enjoyed the Berlin one because it's like 10 minutes on the underground from my house, and you can just walk in and it's right in the city centre. There's no hassle getting there. It's not like, you know, taking a night bus to Hockenheim or something. And, you know, the fact that they can have a race in Switzerland shows, I think, the benefits of it. And it does attract a consistently good audience now.
Yeah.
Like, the early seasons, I went to the Berlin E-Prix, like, the tickets never sold out, but now they do, because it's a fun day out for the family. The racing is actually good. It's not predictable. You going into any single weekend, you have an idea about who's been doing well across the season, but you legitimately have no idea who's going to get pole and no idea who's going to win the race. And now they've addressed a lot of the problems I had with it, with the new car, because I think the old car, as you would expect for a first iteration, had problems. I'm super excited for the season, and I urge everyone to watch. I also still enjoy endurance racing. I just don't have the time to watch it, but I think that's a very watchable series.
Yeah. I actually, random question. Do you think that, because you're saying about the fan boost and stuff like that, do you think that then Formula E attracts a quote-unquote more intelligent audience?
Ooh. See, there's a lot of words you could have put in place of intelligent that would have caused me to answer differently. Because I know what you're getting at. And I think Formula E, Formula E at its outset attracted the genuine motorsport enthusiast, right? If I had to, like, imagine a demographic, right, and this is a broad generalization and it's not going to be accurate for everybody, I appreciate that. But the people who watch season 1 of Formula E have never installed upon their PlayStation a Need for Speed game. They've never watched Fast and the Furious. That's the difference. I don't want to say people who like those things are not intelligent, because I don't think it's true, but
it's a different
there's a difference, right? And I think Formula One, by nature of how it's been marketed and by some of the characters in it, has attracted a fan base that in part is now always complaining because they want sprint races and they want constant overtaking and they don't like tyres that fall to pieces, and they want it to be all about the drivers. And when Formula E came along, the fact it was electric put a lot of those people off anyway. But also it had none of the celebrity star power that Formula One has. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know who Hulk Hogan is even if you don't give a shit about wrestling. You know who Pete Sampras is if you don't give a shit about tennis, which I don't, because it's shit. As Peep Show once famously said, it's bullshit ping pong for giants. You know, like Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods. Golf is objectively the most boring sport in the world, but I know who those people are. And it's the same with people like Alonso, Vettel, Verstappen. There are names that transcend the sport, and particularly Hamilton. He gets into a lot of youth culture and hip hop and fashion and stuff. And I sort of think that, and the fact that old school F1 was noisy and dirty and full of crashes and stuff, there is a big chunk of the fan base that is there for those reasons and not actually for, let's call them, more traditional racers, motorsport reasons. And I think Formula E has benefited somewhat from, you have to make an effort to know about it, and you have to make an effort to seek it out, and you're probably not going to do that if you want a quick fix. That said, as more and more bigger names get attracted to Formula E, and I think it's only a matter of time actually before Formula E starts to be a serious competitor to Formula One in terms of youth talent. And arguably it already has started to be, because there are some names that have popped up in Formula E that arguably should have been in Formula One. Robin Frins comes to mind. Felix Rosenqvist. Sam Bird.
Yes.
Exactly. Sam Bird, who I've met a few times now, and he's signed my shirt. He's a good bloke. But he was in the running for a Mercedes F1 seat a few years back, if you recall.
Yeah, because he was their test driver, wasn't he?
And he almost won the Formula E title this year. Very close. Came down to the last race, I believe.
Yep.
So I think Formula E is doing everything right, and I think it's only a matter of time before it starts to reap even more rewards than it already is. And if I was Formula One, I'd be very concerned, because they're already struggling to keep 4 engine suppliers in the sport, which is a bad sign. Anyway, sir, congratulations. You picked up some Pointeroonies for your collection.
I did indeed. The 2-stopping was definitely right. I was closing down on Leclerc and Raikkonen and Ricciardo, but because I had to switch my nose cone on my first stop, that dropped me back a little bit and probably cost me...
You do lose quite a lot of time, don't you?
Yeah.
In your pit stops with that.
I definitely could have had Leclerc if I'd not done that. I don't know about Raikkonen and Ricciardo. And standing-wise, in a complete reversal of real world, Vettel is well out front and not self-harming every attempt so far. You're still sitting pretty in 5th, and I'm into 7th.
Yeah, with 1 win. I've only scored points in 1 out of 4 rounds.
Yeah, you're like Ricciardo with wins and podiums this year as well.
Yeah, I tell you what though, I mean, I think this could bite me later in the season, because once we get past Monaco, there's a run of 6 tracks or 7 tracks where I'm actually really, really good. And I could be winning them. And I'm wondering if I might miss out on a top 3 this year, simply because I had such a bad start to it. I mean, this is my worst start to a Failcast season ever, in terms of finishes, not in terms of points, but in terms of finishes. In fact, I've already surpassed my number of DNFs this season than I have in any other season. I've never had more than 2 DNFs. I'm still putting together the stats, because I want to put them up on Twitter or something, because I think it makes for interesting reading, given we've been doing this so long.
You should get a page on the Failcast F1 website.
I will. Oh, do you know?
We have forgotten it.
We have forgotten that webpage completely, because I took a vacation and I never came back to it. We're still 3rd though in the constructors, which isn't too shabby. Although Mercedes already have double our points, we're going to have to pull up our socks here a little bit here, but not too bad, not too bad. I'm just happy to have finished in Baku. A race that I think I could have actually won, and I could have won last season, but I'm just not consistent enough to finish the race successfully. But hey-ho, never mind.
It is all good.
Well, thank you very much, sir. It's only a sort of... It's not even a half an hour shorter episode, because actually it's very rare we run to the full 2 hours. We're normally about 1 hour 50, so it's not too short considering we didn't do qualifying.
No, we had a good chat before, and worked out well.
I think we may have redeemed ourselves a little bit from last week, last fortnight's.
I'm going to treat myself to a cider afterwards. I wasn't there and doing it before. Especially as it's our 1 year of going live, which I think has been a good move for us, so thanks for that reminder. I didn't realise.
I do think the live format is better. Absolutely.
I agree. We have had some comments coming in. Apologies, I didn't have the capacity to actually read them. So sorry, Ultraman Nexus there. Do we think Hamilton will walk away with the title this weekend or next?
I think he's already won it. I think actually it's a repeat of last season, that it's not so much he's won it as Vettel's thrown it away. Or Vettel and Ferrari have thrown it away. Yeah. So yeah, I predict him for pole, and I predict him, if he hasn't already got pole, I don't know if I've missed qualifying, but I predict him for the race win for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Quality's not happened yet, that's why.
All right, good. But he'll get pole. That's why. I mean, I'm a half in my mind. Am I actually going to watch qualifying, or am I just going to read about it? I will see you in 2 weeks then, sir, where we will pick up with Spain, where I imagine both of us will have an incredibly poor race because it shreds tyres for some reason.
It does indeed. You guys will take care. Keep talking to us on Twitter at Saturamon and at Definitely Zero, and we'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye, love you, bye.